Think positive. Live your dream life. Introduction. You didn't come here by accident. Somewhere inside you, a quiet voice, maybe faint, maybe growing louder, has been whispering, there's more for you, more peace, more clarity, more joy, a deeper sense of purpose, a dream life that doesn't feel distant or make-believe but real and reachable. And that voice, that's your truth trying to rise. Because the truth is, you are far more powerful than you've been led to believe. Your thoughts shape your reality. Every single day, in ways you may not even realize yet, you are creating your experience through the way you think, feel, and focus. This audiobook is about waking up to that power. It's about showing you what you've already suspected, that the life you want isn't outside of you, it's inside of you, waiting for you to think it into existence. Now, before you roll your eyes, let's be clear. This isn't about blind positivity or pretending things are fine when they're not. You won't hear me say, just think happy thoughts and everything will magically fix itself. That's not how it works. Life is messy. Challenges come. Fear knocks. But what is true, what science now confirms, is that your brain is not fixed. You can change the way you think. You can rewire your patterns. That process is called neuroplasticity, and it means your brain is constantly forming new pathways, like trails in a forest. The more you walk one trail, the clearer it becomes. The same is true for your thoughts. Think the same self-doubting thought enough times, and it becomes a well-worn path. But here's the exciting part. You can choose to clear a new path. You can decide to stop feeding the patterns that drain you and start nurturing the ones that empower you. You're the gardener of your own mind, and it's time to start planting differently. Maybe you've been stuck in survival mode. Maybe you've been playing small, waiting for permission to want more. Maybe you've achieved things on paper but still feel empty or restless. That's okay. You're not broken. You're not late. You're not the exception to this truth. You're human, and if no one's told you lately, let me say it. It's not too late. You can start fresh today, right now. Not with a grand gesture, but with a single decision to think better thoughts, even if just one at a time. That small shift is how change begins. This audiobook isn't about perfection. It's about progress. Each chapter will offer you simple, practical tools to begin shaping your mindset, strengthening your focus, and breaking free from limiting beliefs. You'll learn how to visualize your future so clearly that your mind starts moving toward it like a compass finding true north. You'll uncover the quiet stories running in the background of your life, and you'll be gently guided to rewrite them. I will remind you again and again that your thoughts shape your reality, not as a slogan, but as a daily practice, a lens through which to view your life, and a key to unlocking your full potential. Think of this audiobook as a companion, a steady voice in your corner, not shouting at you to hustle harder or fake it till you make it, but walking beside you, encouraging you to become it. One thought, one belief, one bold step at a time. You're not here to live someone else's version of success. You're here to live your dream life, the version that brings you peace when you wake up and purpose when you move through your day. That life is possible. It begins with how you think. So take a deep breath. This is your moment. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to start. You've already begun. Let's keep going. Chapter 1. You are the gardener of your mind. Imagine your mind as a garden. Every thought you think is a seed. Some are tiny sprouts of hope. Some are heavy with worry. Others are bursts of color, filled with joy, creativity, or confidence. And like any garden, what grows depends on what you plant, how often you tend to it, and whether you allow weeds to take root unnoticed. The truth is, your outer life, your relationships, your career, your health, your energy, is always reflecting the state of this inner garden. It's not magic, it's mindset. The thoughts you consistently think shape how you feel, which influences the choices you make, which ultimately builds the life you live. This is where real power begins, not out there in the world, but right here, inside your head. But maybe no one ever taught you this. Maybe you grew up hearing more about what not to do than how to think in a way that serves you. Maybe you were handed seeds that weren't even yours. Thoughts from your environment, your family, your past. Seeds like, I'm not enough, I always mess things up, or people like me don't get to dream big. And maybe, without realizing it, you've been watering those seeds day after day, thought after thought, the same mental loops playing like background music, the same fears holding you back, the same doubts whispering when you try to step forward. It's not your fault, but it is your responsibility now, because once you know you're the gardener, you can't ignore the soil. You can't keep planting weeds and expecting flowers. What's powerful is that you don't have to overhaul your entire life overnight. You don't need to rip everything out and start again. Real change happens with awareness. Start by noticing. When you catch yourself thinking something negative, pause. Ask, is this the kind of seed I want to grow? That simple question is a turning point. You're interrupting the autopilot. You're choosing to become conscious. Most people live in reaction, reacting to their circumstances, their emotions, their past. But you're choosing to live with intention. You're choosing to plant what you want to grow. Calm instead of chaos, confidence instead of doubt, hope instead of fear. Now, this doesn't mean pretending everything is always fine. You'll still have hard days. You'll still feel anxious or overwhelmed at times. That's part of being human. But here's the shift. You don't let those feelings take over your garden. You don't water them with more negativity. Instead, you become the kind of gardener who knows when to prune, when to give space, when to pull out what doesn't belong and make room for something better. You treat yourself with compassion instead of criticism. You remind yourself, gently and firmly, that you're always one thought away from changing your state. Always. Think about a real garden. It doesn't bloom overnight. It takes seasons, sunlight, time, and so does mental growth. You may not see immediate results when you start shifting your thoughts, but just because it's invisible at first doesn't mean it's not working. Every positive thought you repeat is strengthening a new pathway in your brain. Every time you replace "I can't" with "I'm learning how," you're rewiring yourself. That's neuroplasticity at work, your brain forming new connections, new defaults, like laying a brick each day until one day you've built a whole new foundation. Let's make this practical. If you catch yourself thinking something like, "I'm such a failure," stop and plant a better seed. Replace it with, "I've made mistakes, but I'm still growing," or "This is a lesson, not a label." If your first thought is, "I'll never be good enough," pause and try, "I'm improving every day, and that's enough for now." The new thought doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to feel like progress. Over time, those small upgrades shift your identity. They shape how you walk into rooms, how you speak to yourself, how you see possibilities where you once saw problems. Now, some weeds are stubborn. Some negative beliefs are so old, so repeated, that they feel like facts. You might have been carrying them for years. That doesn't make them true, it just means they've been repeated enough to feel familiar. And here's the thing about the mind. It loves what's familiar, even if it hurts you. But that's why awareness is everything. The moment you recognize a limiting thought, you take its power away. You stop being its servant and start being its observer. And from that place you can choose again. You can always choose again. You might be wondering, how do I stay consistent? How do I make sure I don't fall back into old habits? The answer is repetition and intention. Just like you wouldn't water your garden once and expect a full harvest, you can't think one positive thought and expect a whole new life. This is a practice, a mindset routine. And it doesn't have to be complicated. Start your day with a mental check-in. Ask, what kind of thoughts do I want to plant today? Then take 5 minutes to affirm them out loud or write them down. Keep a small journal where you track the thoughts you're working to shift. Create a mantra that brings you back to center. Something simple like, I choose peace, or I'm growing every day, or my thoughts shape my reality. Repeat it often, especially when doubt creeps in. Over time, your mind will start to lean in that direction more naturally. You're not trying to become someone else. You're returning to who you've always been beneath the noise. The version of you who trusts, who dreams, who believes, who acts with intention. You're not trying to control every circumstance. You're learning to respond differently. You're becoming the kind of person who no longer waits for life to feel good before choosing to think good thoughts. That's power. That's transformation. That's where the dream life begins. Not someday, but in this moment, with the seeds you choose to plant today. So don't worry about fixing everything at once. Start small. Start now. Plant one thought of hope. Water it with action. Give it sunlight with gratitude. Pull a weed of fear. And keep going. You are the gardener of your mind, and this is where your dream life takes root. Chapter 2. Thoughts are architects of your reality. Every building starts with a blueprint. Before a single brick is laid or a wall is raised, someone imagines the structure, sketches it out, and creates a plan. Your life works the same way. The reality you're living right now, your relationships, your career, your habits, your moods, was first built in your mind. Your thoughts are the architects of your reality. What you focus on, what you believe, and what you tell yourself each day becomes the invisible blueprint for the life you experience. And just like any blueprint, if you change the design, the structure that follows will begin to shift too. Most people don't realize they're building by default. They think they're simply responding to life, going with the flow, reacting to circumstances, dealing with whatever shows up. But the deeper truth is, the way you think about life shapes what shows up. If you expect things to go wrong, your brain will filter the world to confirm that belief. If you constantly think you're not capable, you'll hesitate, procrastinate, or play small, proving yourself right before you even try. This isn't about blame, it's about awareness. Once you become aware that your thoughts are creating the mental blueprint, you can step into the role of conscious designer. It's easy to underestimate the power of a single thought. One thought can seem harmless, quick, forgettable. But thoughts don't live in isolation, they cluster. One, I'm not good enough, attracts another. One, this will never work, invites more doubt. Before long, those scattered thoughts become beliefs. Beliefs are simply repeated thoughts accepted as truth. And once something becomes a belief, it starts shaping how you see the world, how you interpret events, and what you think is possible for you. That's why your thoughts matter so much. They aren't just private little voices in your head. They are builders. They are architects. They are laying the foundation of your future with every repetition. Science backs this up. The human brain has a filtering system called a reticular activating system, or RAS. Think of it as a spotlight in your brain. Whatever you consistently focus on, your RAS highlights. That's why if you buy a red car, you suddenly start seeing red cars everywhere. It's not that there are more red cars, it's that your mind is now tuned to notice them. The same thing happens with your beliefs. If you believe people are untrustworthy, you'll notice every time someone lets you down. If you believe you're unlucky, you'll overlook the blessings and fixate on the setbacks. But when you shift your thinking, your RAS begins to highlight new evidence. Believe you're capable, and you'll notice opportunities you once missed. Believe you are growing, and you'll see progress where you once only saw flaws. The goal here isn't to control every thought you have. That would be impossible. The goal is to become intentional about which thoughts you dwell on, repeat, and reinforce. The ones you feed become stronger. The ones you ignore begin to fade. You're not at the mercy of your thoughts. You are their creator and their editor. If a thought shows up that doesn't serve you, you can pause, observe it, and choose a better one. It takes practice, But with time, you'll start recognizing the mental patterns that shape your experience, and you'll have the power to rewire them. Let's bring this to life with an example. Say you have a dream of starting your own business, but every time you think about taking the leap, a voice pops up saying, "Who do you think you are? You're not cut out for this." That one thought might seem small, but it triggers a chain reaction. It affects your mood, it creates fear, it leads to hesitation. You talk yourself out of applying for that license, launching that page, or telling others about your idea. Now, imagine catching that thought and consciously rewriting it. "I may not know everything yet, but I can learn. I have what it takes to begin." That shift changes everything. It doesn't just make you feel better, it changes your behavior. And when your behavior changes, your outcomes follow. That's how a new blueprint starts forming. One thought at a time. Be patient with yourself. If you've spent years reinforcing certain beliefs, they won't disappear overnight. Your inner architect has been following the same design for a long time, but now you're stepping in with new plans. You're saying, "Actually, I don't want a house built on fear and doubt. I want one built on self-trust, vision, and growth." That decision alone changes the trajectory of your life. Every time you repeat a thought like, "I am growing," or "I'm allowed to dream big," or "My life is expanding in beautiful ways," you're drawing a new line in the blueprint. You're laying new bricks in your mental foundation. This is why affirmations work, not because they magically make things happen, but because they train your brain to expect something different. They start tuning your internal spotlight toward possibility. But to be effective, affirmations must feel believable. If saying, "I love myself completely" feels false, then start with something more accessible like, "I'm learning to accept myself more each day." The goal is to shift your thoughts incrementally toward empowerment. Over time, those thoughts solidify into new beliefs, and those beliefs change how you show up in the world. Here's a practice to help you shift into the role of architect. For the next week, notice the first thought you have each morning. Is it rushed, anxious, heavy, or is it calm, open, grounded? Don't judge it, just observe. Then, intentionally choose a better thought to start your day, even if it's as simple as "Today is a new chance," or "I get to build something meaningful today." That one thought can reset your entire outlook. Thoughts are like dominoes. The first one often determines the ones that follow. Choose your first domino with care. Also, keep a running list of empowering thoughts that feel true to you. These are your go-to building blocks. Read them when doubt creeps in. Speak them out loud when your energy dips. Write them down when you feel lost. Over time, these thoughts will become your new default settings. They will start building a reality that reflects your inner strength and clarity. You are not a victim of your mind. You are the builder of it. Your thoughts are not random visitors. They are workers you've hired. If you don't like the structure they're building, give them new instructions. You are the architect, you are the builder, and your blueprint begins with what you believe to be possible. Start drawing the life you want, one thought at a time. It doesn't need to be grand or perfect, it just needs to be intentional. The more you direct your thoughts, the more aligned your life becomes. This is the truth you'll hear again and again, because it cannot be overstated. Your thoughts shape your reality. Train them, guide them, and they will begin to build a life that feels like home. Chapter 3. The Science of Change, Rewiring Your Brain. You are not stuck. Even if you've thought the same thought for 10 years, even if you've repeated the same habit every day for as long as you can remember, even if it feels like your brain has been wired for worry, self-doubt, or fear, none of that means you're fixed in place. It simply means your brain has been following familiar routes. But those routes aren't permanent. They're not who you are. They're just well-worn paths that your mind has taken again and again. And the moment you understand how your brain actually works, how it's wired to change, you begin to see the power you have. You begin to realize that transformation isn't some unreachable ideal. It's biology. It's real. It's within you. Your brain is a living, changing organ. It adapts, it responds, it rewires. This ability to change is called neuroplasticity. You don't need a neuroscience degree to grasp it. Think of your brain like a network of trails in a forest. Every time you think a thought, you walk one of those trails. The more often you walk it, the clearer and faster it becomes. That's why habits, mental or physical, start to feel automatic. Your brain is simply trying to be efficient. It keeps taking the path you've walked the most, even if that path leads to self-doubt, anxiety, or limitation. It's not trying to sabotage you. It's trying to save energy. But once you become aware of that, you can begin to clear a new trail. Every time you think a new thought, you lay down the beginnings of a new path. It might feel awkward or unnatural at first, like walking through thick underbrush. But with repetition, it gets easier. And here's the powerful part. While you're strengthening that new path, the old one begins to fade. The less you walk it, the more overgrown it becomes. This is the foundation of change. Not forcing yourself into a new life, but gently, consistently, choosing new mental paths until they become your new normal. Let's say you've spent years thinking, "I'll never be successful." That thought has become a neural superhighway, fast, familiar, and deeply ingrained. But now, you're ready to think differently. You start with, "I am learning how to be successful," or "Success is a skill I can develop." At first, that new thought feels like a dirt path. It's slower, your brain resists it. But the more you repeat it, the clearer it becomes. You start noticing opportunities you once ignored. You take action that aligns with your new belief, and over time, the old road begins to crumble, and the new one becomes the route your brain naturally takes. This isn't wishful thinking, it's science in motion. Understanding this process gives you compassion for yourself. You stop blaming yourself for why change hasn't stuck in the past. You see that it's not about willpower, it's about wiring, and wiring takes time. The good news is that your brain doesn't care if a thought is helpful or harmful, true or false. It just builds what you give it most often. That means you have more power than you think. You can choose what you repeat, you can choose what you reinforce, and you can rebuild your mental landscape one thought at a time. But rewiring your brain isn't just about positive thinking, it's also about emotional reinforcement. When you attach feeling to a thought, it becomes stickier. That's why a single embarrassing moment can live in your memory for years, because emotion burned it into your wiring. You can use this to your advantage. When you think empowering thoughts, don't just say them, feel them. Imagine the outcome. Picture yourself succeeding, smiling, thriving. Engage your senses. Feel the pride, the relief, the excitement. Your brain doesn't know the difference between a vividly imagined experience and a real one. So when you visualize a better future with emotion, you start training your brain to accept it as reality. Let's talk about habit, because it's the bridge between thought and action. Thoughts create mental momentum, but habits ground that momentum in the real world. If you want to change how you think, anchor those thoughts in small daily actions. That's how new wiring locks in. If you're building the belief, "I am disciplined," then act on it in a small way. Wake up 5 minutes earlier, make your bed, journal for 2 minutes. The size of the action isn't what matters, it's the consistency. Each action confirms the new belief, and the repetition wires it deeper. And yes, there will be resistance. Your brain is efficient, not adventurous. It doesn't like change, even when the change is good for you. Expect discomfort. Expect your old thoughts to try and pull you back. That's not failure. That's biology doing its job. But now you know better. You know that discomfort is a sign that your brain is building something new. You can meet it with patience instead of panic. You can say, "This is what growth feels like," and keep going. There's also something called Hebb's law that's worth understanding. It says, neurons that fire together wire together. That means when two experiences happen at the same time, your brain links them. If every time you try something new, you also think this is too hard, your brain wires those together. But if you pair new experiences with thoughts like, I'm curious, or this is a challenge I can rise to, you begin wiring confidence to change. That's the science behind affirmations, visualization, and intentional thinking. They're not fluff. They're your brain's building materials. This chapter isn't just about information. It's about permission. Permission to stop thinking you're broken because change is hard. Permission to believe in your capacity to grow, not because someone told you, but because your brain is literally built for it. You are not cement, you are clay. You are adaptable, moldable, rewritable. That's not just poetry, it's physiology. And the more you understand how your mind works, the more equipped you are to reshape it with purpose. So let today be the day you stop calling your old thoughts truth and start calling them what they really are, habits. Let today be the day you step into the role of builder, sculptor, gardener, architect. Not someday, today. Repetition is your tool, emotion is your fuel, patience is your secret weapon, and the blueprint? It's already inside you, waiting for your instruction. Your thoughts shape your reality, not because they magically control everything, but because they guide what you notice, how you feel, what you expect, and what you do. Change your thoughts, and your reality has no choice but to follow. Keep walking the new path, even when it feels unfamiliar. Especially then, because every time you choose a better thought, you're not just shifting your mindset, you're rewiring your brain and transforming your life. Chapter 4. Digging up the weeds, spotting limiting beliefs. You've probably had moments when you asked yourself, why do I keep holding back? Or why does this fear keep showing up even when I know I want more? Maybe you felt that invisible wall between you and your goals, something you couldn't name, but could definitely feel. That wall, more often than not, is built from limiting beliefs. Those quiet, deeply ingrained thoughts that whisper, you can't, you're not enough, or that's not for people like you. These beliefs don't come from nowhere. They are the weeds that grew in your mental garden over time, often planted by past experiences, societal messages, childhood patterns, or fear dressed up as logic. And until you spot them and pull them up by the root, they'll keep choking out your growth, no matter how much positivity you try to plant on the surface. Limiting beliefs are sneaky. They don't always sound dramatic or obvious. Sometimes they show up as reasonable thoughts. I need to be realistic, or it's too late for me to start over, or I don't want to fail and embarrass myself. They sound protective, even rational, which is why they often go unchallenged. But just because a thought sounds reasonable doesn't mean it's true. And just because a belief feels familiar doesn't mean it's serving you. The real question to ask is this thought helping me grow, or is it keeping me small? If it's keeping you small, it's a weed. The tricky thing about limiting beliefs is that they don't always come from pain. Sometimes they come from repetition. You may have heard the same phrase over and over growing up, something like, money doesn't grow on trees, or don't get your hopes up, or life's not fair. These phrases may have been said with good intentions, but if you heard them enough, they became your truth. Now as an adult, you might find yourself hitting the same ceilings or avoiding certain risks, without realizing those old words are still echoing in your mind, quietly shaping your choices. Here's the good news. A belief is not a fact. It's just a thought you've repeated enough times to feel certain about. And if a belief can be learned, it can be unlearned. This is where awareness becomes your most powerful tool. You can't change what you can't see, so your first step is simply to observe. Begin paying attention to your automatic thoughts, especially when you feel stuck, hesitant, or afraid. Ask yourself, what story am I telling myself right now? That story will often reveal the belief behind the feeling. For example, if you're avoiding starting a new project, the surface emotion might be procrastination, but the story underneath might be, if I try and fail, I'll prove I'm not good enough. That's a limiting belief in disguise. If you find yourself avoiding love or connection, the belief might be, people always leave, or I'm too much to handle. Once you identify the belief, don't rush to fix it or argue with it. Just name it, shine a light on it. Most limiting beliefs lose half their power the moment they're seen clearly. They feed on your unconscious agreement, so waking up to them is already a breakthrough. Once you've spotted a limiting belief, ask where it came from. Was it something you learned in childhood? Was it shaped by a painful experience? Did someone else project it onto you? Understanding the origin of a belief doesn't mean blaming the past. It means separating yourself from it. It means realizing that just because a thought has history doesn't mean it deserves a future. You get to choose which beliefs you carry forward and which ones you leave behind. Then comes the most transformative part, replacing the belief with something more empowering. Not a blind affirmation that feels fake, but a truth that feels possible. If your belief is, "I always mess things up," you might shift to, "I'm still learning, and that's okay." If your belief is, "I don't deserve success," you might try, "I am allowed to grow and receive good things." The goal is not to jump to the opposite extreme, but to find a bridge thought, a belief that you can actually accept, one that leads you gently in the direction of freedom. This takes practice. Your old beliefs have had years to dig deep roots. They won't disappear after one journal session or one inspiring quote, but each time you catch a limiting belief and choose something better, you weaken its grip. You take back your power. And over time, those better thoughts start to feel more natural, more believable, more like you, because in truth, they are. The empowered version of you isn't something you have to invent. It's who you were before fear, doubt, and conditioning got in the way. This work isn't about becoming someone new. It's about remembering who you really are. To make this practical, try this exercise. Take out a notebook or open a document and write down one area of your life where you feel stuck. Maybe it's money, love, creativity, health, or self-worth. Now ask yourself, what do I believe about this area? Let the thoughts pour out without judgment. Once you've written them down, go through each one and ask, is this absolutely true? Who taught me this? And what could I believe instead? This process might feel slow at first, but it builds clarity. And clarity is the beginning of freedom. Also, start listening to your language. The way you speak about yourself and your life often reveals your beliefs. Phrases like, "I'm just not that kind of person," or "that would never work for me," are red flags. Replace them with curiosity. Try saying, "I'm learning how to become that kind of person," or "I'm open to discovering what's possible for me." Even if you don't fully believe it yet, you're opening a door, and sometimes that's all it takes. You are not your limiting beliefs. You are the observer of them. You are the one who can interrupt them, question them, and rewrite them. You are the gardener who gets to decide which thoughts take root and which ones get pulled. It might feel messy, it might feel slow, but every weed you pull makes more space for growth, for beauty, for the life you're meant to live. So be gentle with yourself. This isn't about getting it right all the time. It's about waking up, seeing clearly, and choosing moment by moment to believe in the version of you that is ready to grow, ready to rise, and ready to live freely. Because you deserve a life built on truth, not fear. On purpose, not programming. On power, not limitation. And that life begins the moment you decide to dig deep and make room for something new. Chapter 5. Flip the script. Turning self-doubt into power. Self-doubt doesn't always show up loudly. Sometimes it's a whisper, a pause before you speak, a hesitation before you start. Other times it disguises itself as perfectionism or procrastination. It may sound like, "What if I fail?" or "I'm not ready yet," or "Someone else could do this better." It lives in the background, quietly steering your choices, shrinking your confidence, and delaying your dreams. But here's the truth that can change everything. Self-doubt isn't your enemy. It's a messenger. It shows up when you're on the edge of growth. It appears when you're about to stretch, risk, or become more than you've been. And instead of letting it stop you, you can learn to flip the script. You can use that doubt as fuel, as a signal that you're stepping into something meaningful. Because nobody doubts themselves when they're standing still. You only feel fear when you're moving towards something that matters. Too often we treat self-doubt like a stop sign. We interpret the discomfort as a warning that we're not ready or not good enough. But what if it's not a stop sign at all? What if it's a signal flare? Evidence that you're breaking through the edges of your current identity. The mind likes what's familiar. It prefers the safety of repetition, even if that safety is suffocating. So when you reach for something new, whether it's speaking up, starting over, sharing your voice, or taking a risk, your mind sends out doubt as a reflex. It's trying to protect you from failure, rejection, and disappointment. But protection can become a prison, and if you always obey that reflex, you'll never discover what you're capable of. Flipping the script starts with recognizing the voice of self-doubt without believing everything it says. You might hear, "I'm not qualified." But is that true or just a thought you've practiced? You might think, "No one will care what I have to say." But have you tested that? Or are you assuming rejection to avoid vulnerability? Doubt speaks in absolutes, in worst-case scenarios, in fear-based logic. It's often not rooted in fact. It's rooted in old beliefs, past wounds, or imagined failures that haven't happened. And the moment you begin to observe it rather than obey it, you create space, you create choice. That space is where your power lives. Instead of arguing with self-doubt or trying to silence it, listen to what it's trying to protect. Often behind the fear is a need to feel safe, accepted, capable, seen. And once you understand that, you can reassure that part of you without shrinking your goals. You can say, "I know you're scared, but I've got this," or "We're trying something new, and that's allowed to feel uncomfortable, but I'm not stopping." This inner dialogue rewires the relationship you have with fear. It teaches your mind that discomfort isn't danger, it's part of expansion. Over time, you become less reactive and more resilient. You stop waiting for confidence and start acting your way into it. Because here's something most people never learn: confidence isn't the absence of self-doubt. Confidence is the decision to move forward anyway. It's built through action. Every time you do something you are afraid of, you send a message to your mind. We can do hard things. We can trust ourselves. That message becomes a new belief, and that belief builds new momentum. But none of it happens until you take the step, speak the word, start the thing, with doubt in your back pocket. Not waiting for it to disappear, but carrying it with you and choosing growth anyway. Let's talk about a practical strategy you can use when doubt starts to creep in. Begin by identifying the exact thought. Not just, "I feel nervous," but "I'm afraid people will judge me," or "I don't know if I can do this." Write it down. Look at it like an observer, not a victim. Then ask, "Is this thought true? Where did I learn it? What's a more empowering version of this story?" Replace the original doubt with something like, "Even if some people judge me, others will connect with me." Or, "I may not know everything, but I'm willing to learn." You're not trying to erase the fear, you're trying to reframe it. You're taking back authorship of the script. Another powerful tool is to talk to yourself like you would talk to someone you love. If a friend came to you filled with doubt, you wouldn't say, "Yeah, you should quit." You'd remind them of their strengths. You'd point out their progress. You'd reflect their courage back to them. You'd see their fear, but believe in them anyway. So why not give yourself that same grace? Speak to yourself like someone who matters, because you do. The way you speak to yourself in moments of doubt becomes the foundation for the way you show up in the world. It also helps to shift your focus from outcome to effort. Most doubt comes from imagining what could go wrong. What if you fail? What if you're embarrassed? What if it doesn't work? But those are outcomes, things you can't fully control. What you can control is your effort, your intention, your attitude. So instead of thinking, "I have to succeed," try, "I'm going to give my best," or "I'm proud of myself for trying." This creates a sense of internal safety, it reduces the pressure, and it makes space for joy and growth, even when the results take time. Self-doubt doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're human. Everyone you admire has felt it. Every author, speaker, leader, creator, you name it, has faced that inner voice and decided to move anyway. That's not arrogance. That's courage. And courage isn't loud or fearless. It's quiet and steady. It's the whisper that says, "I'll show up anyway." You have that whisper too. It may be buried beneath years of hesitation or criticism, but it's there. And the more you listen to it, the louder it becomes. So the next time self-doubt rises, don't panic. Pause, listen, reframe. Remind yourself that this is a sign you're growing, not failing. Remember that your thoughts are not the final word. They're the starting point. You get to flip the script. You get to choose a new sentence, a new story, a new direction. And here's what's even more powerful. Every time you flip the script for yourself, you give others permission to do the same. You become a living example of what it looks like to grow through fear instead of being paralyzed by it. You walk into rooms with energy that says, "I don't have it all figured out, but I'm here, I'm learning, and I'm not giving up." That kind of presence changes more than your life. It ripples out. Your thoughts shape your reality, and even the thoughts filled with doubt can be transformed into bridges that lead you somewhere better. You are not the fear. You are the one choosing what to do with it. You are not the old story. You are the author of what comes next. Keep writing, keep rising, keep flipping the script. Chapter 6. The mirror is your mindset. Take a moment and imagine standing in front of a mirror. You look into it expecting to see a reflection, and sure enough, it shows you exactly what's there, your face, your expression, your posture. But imagine trying to change the reflection without touching yourself. You wave at the mirror, tell it to smile, demand it to look happier. Nothing changes because the mirror only reflects what it's given. Life works the same way. The world around you, your experiences, your patterns, your relationships, they all act like mirrors. They reflect your inner state, your beliefs, your expectations, and your mindset. If you want to change the reflection, you don't start with the mirror. You start with yourself. You start with what you're thinking, believing, expecting. Your mindset is the source. Everything else simply responds to it. Most people go through life trying to fix the mirror. They try to rearrange circumstances, change other people, control outcomes, or chase things outside themselves in hopes that those changes will make them feel better inside. But it rarely lasts. You might fix one thing, only to feel unsatisfied again. You might move to a new city, find a new partner, switch careers, but still carry the same inner heaviness. That's because nothing truly shifts until your mindset shifts. The lens through which you see the world determines the world you see. If you believe life is against you, you'll find evidence to support it. If you believe people can't be trusted, you'll notice every betrayal and miss every kindness. If you see yourself as limited, unworthy, or unlucky, you'll unconsciously create situations that confirm those beliefs. The mind is powerful, and it loves to be right, even when being right keeps you small. This isn't about blaming yourself for your reality. It's about reclaiming your influence over it. Because the moment you accept that your mindset is shaping your life, you gain the power to reshape your life by shifting your mind. That's not wishful thinking. It's grounded in how your brain filters information. Your subconscious mind is always scanning the environment for what matches your dominant beliefs. That means if you want to live differently, you don't wait for the world to change. You train your mind to look for something new, something better, something possible. And when you do that, the mirror reflects something new right back at you. Let's take an example. Imagine you believe deep down that you're not worthy of success. You may not say it out loud, but the belief is there, quietly running in the background. That belief colors everything. You might self-sabotage, undercharge, avoid opportunities, or shrink in rooms where you could shine. Even if you get close to what you want, that mindset will block you from receiving it fully. Now flip the belief. Begin practicing the thought, I am worthy of success, even if it feels unfamiliar at first. Say it, write it, repeat it, attach it to action, apply for the opportunity, ask for what you deserve, take the next step. Over time, your new mindset shifts your choices. Your energy changes, people respond differently, results begin to reflect your internal upgrade. The mirror reflects the shift. This is why inner work is not optional, it's essential. You can't fake mindset. You can't decorate over doubt. You can't hustle your way past your deepest beliefs. But you can change those beliefs, slowly, intentionally, repetitively. The change begins in your thoughts, is reinforced by your emotions, and is anchored by your actions. That's the path. Not perfection, not pretending, just practice. You don't have to wake up tomorrow and believe everything positive about yourself. You only need to start challenging what no longer serves you. You only need to become aware of the lens you're looking through. Mindset isn't just about thinking positively, it's about seeing clearly. It's about realizing that your thoughts aren't neutral. They either open doors or close them. They either lift you or limit you. And once you recognize that, you begin to take your thoughts seriously, not fearfully, but purposefully. You become the curator of your mind, the editor of your inner narrative, the leader of your own perspective. And that leadership changes everything. Because when your internal world shifts, your external world has no choice but to catch up. One of the biggest breakthroughs you can have is understanding that you're not seeing the world as it is. You're seeing it as you are. Your beliefs are like colored glasses. If you're wearing red lenses, everything looks red, no matter how colorful the world may be. You can walk into the most abundant, loving, opportunity-filled environment, but if your lens is fear, lack, or limitation, you won't see it. You'll miss what's right in front of you because your mind is trained to focus on something else. This is not just a poetic idea, it's how the brain works. That's why changing your life starts with changing your lens. Take off the old glasses, clean the fog from the mirror, choose to see yourself and your world with new eyes. People noticing your language, the words you use every day, are reflections of your mindset. Are you constantly saying, I can't, it's hard, that's just the way things are? Or are you saying, I'm learning, this is a challenge, but I can grow from it. I'm open to new possibilities. Even subtle shifts in language create massive shifts in energy, and energy is contagious. People respond to your mindset, even if they can't name it. Your attitude speaks before you do. So begin to notice what you're broadcasting. Begin to decide what kind of reflection you want to create. Your mindset is not set in stone. It's a pattern, a habit, a choice that you get to make again and again. Some days that choice will be easier. Some days it will feel like swimming upstream. But every time you choose a thought that empowers you over one that limits you, you reinforce a new pattern. You walk a new path in your brain. You build a new way of being, and those small inner shifts eventually create massive outer changes. So if the world isn't reflecting back what you want to see, more love, more respect, more success, more peace, don't just get frustrated with the mirror. Don't waste energy polishing the glass. Go inward. Ask yourself, what part of me is expecting this reflection? What mindset am I bringing into this moment? And then choose differently. Choose from the version of you that believes change is possible, that believes growth is natural, that believes you are worthy of a life that feels like alignment, not resistance. Everything begins in the mind. Your thoughts shape your reality. Your mindset sets the tone for your life. And the good news is, you're never stuck with the lens you've been given. You can change it. You can shift it. You can see the world differently. And when you do, the world responds. The mirror isn't magic, it's just honest. And when you choose to shift the source, the reflection will always follow. Chapter 7. Your emotions are messengers, not enemies. Emotions are not the problem. Feeling deeply is not a weakness. You were never meant to suppress your feelings just to appear strong, or to silence your inner world to survive the outer one. Yet for most people, emotions become a source of confusion, shame, or avoidance. You may have been taught to hide them, fear them, or push them down because they made others uncomfortable. Maybe you've labeled some emotions as good and others as bad. Maybe you believe that to be positive you need to ignore sadness, anger, fear, or frustration. But the truth is, emotions are not enemies to be defeated. They're messengers. Each one carries information. Each one is a signal from your inner world, trying to show you something that needs attention, healing, or change. The more you learn to listen without judgment, the more empowered you become. You can't grow if you're constantly rejecting what you feel. Positive thinking isn't about pretending you're okay when you're not. It's about being honest with where you are while choosing thoughts that support your healing, not your self-destruction. When you suppress emotions, you don't make them disappear, you bury them alive. They stay in your body, shaping your energy, your reactions, and your decisions. Suppressed emotions don't vanish, they surface in other ways, through anxiety, tension, burnout, or even illness. But when you give yourself permission to feel, when you create space for your emotions to exist without trying to fix them right away, something powerful happens. The intensity begins to soften, the message becomes clearer. You start to understand what the feeling is pointing to, rather than being ruled by it. Think of your emotions like the dashboard lights in a car. When a light flashes, it doesn't mean the car is broken. It means something needs attention. Ignoring it won't help, yelling at it won't fix it. But paying attention, checking under the hood, and taking care of the source, that's how you keep moving forward. It's the same with feelings. Anger may be telling you that a boundary has been crossed. Sadness may be inviting you to slow down and grieve. Fear may be asking you to pay attention and be prepared. Even joy has something to teach. It's often a sign that you're aligned, present, and connected to what matters. None of these emotions are wrong. They all serve a purpose. The challenge is learning to feel without being consumed and to listen without being controlled. Emotional maturity doesn't mean always being happy. It means being honest. It means saying, "I feel heavy today," without spiraling into shame or pretending you don't. It means letting the emotion pass through you like a wave instead of building a dam around it. The more you resist feeling something, the more it builds pressure. But the more you allow it to move, the more you return to center. Emotional energy is just that. It wants to move, it wants to flow. You don't have to analyze every feeling to death. You just have to allow it, sit with it, name it, breathe through it, and then ask, what is this here to show me? Sometimes the answer will come quickly. Other times it will take stillness and time. But the more you practice tuning in rather than tuning out, the more trust you build with yourself, and trust is key. You don't have to fear your inner world when you trust that you can handle whatever arises. You don't have to run from emotion when you believe in your ability to process it. That's where emotional strength is born, not from always feeling good, but from knowing that no feeling is final and no emotion defines you. There's a myth that says emotional people can't be rational, that sensitivity means instability. But that's simply not true. Feeling deeply doesn't make you fragile. It makes you fully alive. Your emotions connect you to empathy, creativity, intuition, and courage. They make you human. You don't need to apologize for having a heart that feels. What you need is permission to feel without self-judgment and the tools to move through those feelings with awareness. One of the most helpful practices is emotional labeling. When you feel something strong, take a pause and ask, what is this exactly? Instead of saying, I'm overwhelmed, break it down. Are you frustrated, disappointed, scared, lonely? Often, the act of naming a feeling brings clarity and calm. It gives your mind something to work with instead of spinning in confusion. Another practice is checking in with your body. Where do you feel the emotion? Is it tightness in your chest? A knot in your stomach? A weight in your shoulders? When you locate the feeling physically, you anchor yourself in the present. You stop running from it and start tending to it. You become more grounded. Emotions are temporary visitors. Even the heaviest ones are not permanent residents. They come and go, they rise and fall. You are the sky and your emotions are the weather. Storms may pass through, but they don't define the sky. Knowing this helps you sit with hard emotions without fearing they'll never leave. And when they do pass, you're left with more clarity, more resilience, and more connection to yourself. This emotional awareness is also vital for building relationships. When you understand your own emotions, you can communicate more clearly, listen more deeply, and connect more authentically with others. You stop projecting your pain onto people who didn't cause it. You stop expecting others to fix what you haven't faced. Instead, you bring your whole self to your interactions with honesty, compassion, and self-responsibility. You don't have to choose between positivity and emotional truth. You can be hopeful and still feel your grief. You can be motivated and still acknowledge fear. You can be grateful and still process anger. Real positivity is inclusive. It makes room for every emotion, not just the shiny ones. It understands that healing isn't linear and growth isn't always glamorous. Sometimes it looks like crying in your car, taking a deep breath in the middle of chaos, or saying no to something that once felt safe. These are not setbacks. They are signs of strength. They are reminders that you are present with your life, not performing for it. So don't be afraid of what you feel. Emotions are not flaws in your programming. They are signals, guides, invitations. Learn to hear them, learn to honor them, and most importantly, learn to keep moving through them without letting them define who you are. You are not your sadness. You are not your anger. You are not your fear. You are the awareness behind those emotions, the one who can hold them, learn from them, and let them go. Your thoughts shape your reality, but so do your emotions. And when you give them the respect they deserve, not control, not resistance, but presence, you become more powerful, not less. You become rooted in yourself, and from that grounded place you can create a life that isn't just mentally strong, but emotionally honest. That kind of life doesn't just look good from the outside. It feels true on the inside. It's the life you're here to build. One honest feeling, one aware thought, one conscious moment at a time. Chapter 8. Visualization, painting your future with your mind's eye. Everything you've ever created, achieved, or pursued started as a picture in your mind. Before the action, before the effort, before the result, there was a thought, a mental image, a possibility that existed only in your imagination. This is the silent power of visualization. It's not some mystical idea or motivational trend. It's one of the most powerful tools you already use every single day, mostly without realizing it. And the more you begin to use it with intention, the more it becomes a tool for transformation. Because your mind doesn't just observe your life, it participates in creating it. And when you visualize a better future vividly and consistently, your brain begins to move toward it, preparing your thoughts, emotions, and actions to align with what you see. You've been visualizing your whole life. Think about the last time you imagined everything going wrong before a big event. Maybe you pictured yourself stumbling over your words, messing something up, getting rejected or embarrassed, and maybe that fear loop drained your energy or made you hesitate. That's visualization at work, except in reverse. You rehearsed failure. You built a mental scene that shaped your feelings and behavior. The mind doesn't know the difference between a vividly imagined experience and a real one. So when you constantly picture the worst, your nervous system reacts. Your body prepares for threat. You act smaller, speak quieter, show up with doubt. But the beautiful thing is, this same mechanism works in your favor when you flip it. When you begin to visualize positive outcomes with the same emotional intensity, You're not lying to yourself, you're training your brain. You're giving your subconscious a new direction, a new blueprint to follow. There's science behind this. Studies have shown that mental rehearsal activates the same brain regions as physical practice. Athletes use visualization to improve performance. Public speakers use it to calm nerves. High performers across fields prime their minds by running through their success mentally before they ever take a step physically. When you visualize with detail and emotion, you create a neural pattern, almost like a memory of the future. You are rehearsing success. You are strengthening belief. And belief changes how you show up, how you speak, how you carry yourself, how you respond to challenges. So how do you do it? You start simple. You find a quiet moment. Close your eyes. Breathe. Then picture the version of your life that lights you up. Not a vague daydream, but something real, detailed, sensory. Where are you? What do you see? What do you hear? Who's with you? What are you doing? How does it feel in your body? What does your environment look like? Are you confident, calm, energized? Let yourself experience it as fully as possible. Feel the joy, the peace, the excitement, the pride. This isn't just mental entertainment. It's mental conditioning. You are training your body and brain to feel safe and familiar in the life you want to create. This practice doesn't take hours. Even 5 minutes a day can make a powerful difference. The key is consistency. Your mind loves repetition. The more often you visualize a better outcome, the more familiar and believable it becomes. And once it feels familiar, it stops feeling out of reach. That's when your inner resistance softens. That's when the gap between where you are and where you want to be starts to feel smaller. You begin to think, maybe I can do this. And that thought is a seed. Plant it often enough, water it with action, and watch it grow into belief. But visualization isn't about escaping your current reality. It's about expanding your vision beyond it. You're not pretending things are perfect. You're practicing what alignment feels like so you can recognize it when it shows up, and more importantly, so you can make choices that lead you toward it. If you only ever focus on what's wrong, you'll keep creating from a place of lack and fear. But when you focus on what's possible, when you train your eyes to see potential, you unlock new ideas, new energy, new solutions. You're no longer reacting to life. You're co-creating it. There's another layer to this. When you visualize the future you want, you start becoming emotionally familiar with it. That's important because most people sabotage their success not because they don't want it, but because they're not emotionally ready to receive it. If your dream life feels foreign or intimidating, your subconscious will resist it. Visualization bridges that gap. It helps your nervous system get used to the idea of joy, freedom, abundance, peace, whatever you're calling in. The more often you imagine it, the less foreign it becomes. The less foreign it becomes, the more willing your mind is to move toward it. Let's say you want to become a confident speaker, but right now the thought of speaking in front of a group makes your palms sweat. Instead of jumping straight to action, start by visualizing. See yourself on the stage. Picture the room. Hear the applause. Imagine your voice strong and steady. Feel the pride when you finish. Let that scene become your mental rehearsal. Do it every day. Combine it with small, real-world steps, like practicing a short talk or recording your voice. Suddenly, you're no longer a person who dreads public speaking. You're someone becoming it, one mental rep at a time. You can apply this to any area of your life, your health, your relationships, your career, your confidence. Whatever version of yourself you're becoming, start seeing it before you live it. The mind is your workshop. Your thoughts are your tools. Your imagination is your paintbrush. The more clearly you paint, the more alive the image becomes, and soon, the world starts to reflect what your mind has been rehearsing all along. A simple yet powerful daily ritual is to spend a few minutes each morning or evening visualizing 3 things: who you want to be, how you want to feel, and what you want to create. You don't need perfect clarity. Just pick one scene, one moment, one feeling. Let it come alive in your mind. Let yourself experience it now, before it arrives. Because the more you feel it now, the more naturally you'll walk toward it. That's how dreams turn into reality, not by waiting, but by rehearsing them into familiarity, into inevitability. You don't need to have all the answers. You don't need to know how it will unfold. You just need to see it, feel it, and believe that it's possible. Then take the next step. Because what you see in your mind, your life begins to echo. What you feel with your heart, your choices begin to align with. This is not fantasy, this is focus. This is inner vision creating outer results. This is the gentle but powerful truth you've heard again and again and must keep hearing. Your thoughts shape your reality, and when those thoughts are infused with vision, emotion, and belief, your reality starts to rise up and meet you. So close your eyes, take a breath, and see yourself there, not someday, not maybe, but now, because it starts here, in your mind, in your imagination, in your belief. That's the first step to living it, and you are ready. Chapter 9. The Power of Daily Rituals. Transformation doesn't happen all at once. Change isn't made of giant leaps, but of small, consistent steps that stack over time. When people imagine creating their dream life, they often think about big decisions, quitting the job, moving cities, launching something bold. And while those moments matter, they're never the full story. What actually builds your life is what you do every day. It's the small actions, the thoughts you return to, the energy you start with, and the words you speak to yourself before anyone else hears your voice. This is the power of daily rituals. Not routines done out of pressure or perfectionism, but intentional acts that anchor your mindset, reinforce your growth, and remind you who you're becoming. If your thoughts shape your reality, then your rituals are the way you shape your thought. You already have rituals, even if you've never called them that. Maybe your ritual is checking your phone first thing in the morning, scrolling for connection, comparison, or distraction. Maybe your ritual is worrying before bed, replaying what went wrong in the day. Maybe it's skipping breakfast, rushing into chaos, or numbing out with noise. These are unconscious habits, and they leave you feeling scattered, reactive, or depleted. But what if you flipped the script? What if you designed your day from the inside out, starting with intention, even in the smallest ways? That's the difference between a routine and a ritual. A routine is what you do. A ritual is why you do it. It's filled with purpose. It's an act of alignment. You don't need an elaborate morning practice or a strict schedule to create change. You just need a few simple, repeatable actions that help you stay connected to the vision you're building. Start small. It could be one empowering thought you repeat in the mirror, one deep breath before you open your messages, one moment of silence before the noise of the world floods in. These acts might seem small, but they shape your state of mind. They remind your brain, this is who we are now, this is what we're creating. Think of your daily rituals as mental nutrition. Just like your body responds to what you feed it, your mind is shaped by what you consume and repeat. If your morning starts with stress and negativity, that becomes the lens through which you see your day. But if you start with a grounding ritual, something that centers your mind, calms your nervous system, and affirms your power, you carry that energy forward. You don't just react to life, you create it. One powerful ritual is setting an intention each morning. It doesn't need to be complicated. Ask yourself, how do I want to feel today? Or who do I want to be today? Maybe the answer is, I want to feel calm, or I want to lead with kindness, or I want to focus. Anchor that word or phrase in your awareness. Write it down. Speak it out loud. Repeat it throughout the day. Your intention becomes your inner compass. It guides your choices, helps you reset when you drift, and keeps your energy aligned with your values. Another simple but profound ritual is practicing gratitude. Take a few moments each morning or evening to write down 3 things you're grateful for. They can be big or small. The sunlight on your skin, a conversation that moves you, the way your body carries you through the day. Gratitude shifts your focus from lack to abundance. It trains your mind to look for what's working instead of what's missing. And over time, it changes your baseline mood. You begin to see opportunities where you once saw obstacles. You feel supported instead of overwhelmed. That shift isn't accidental, it's practiced. Movement can also be a ritual, not as punishment or pressure, but as a celebration of aliveness. Even 5 minutes of stretching, walking, or dancing can shift your energy. Your body holds your emotions. It remembers your stress. And when you move, you release what no longer serves you. You breathe deeper. You stand taller. You feel more grounded. This isn't about perfection or performance. It's about connection. A daily ritual of movement reminds your body and mind that you are safe, strong, and in motion towards something better. What matters most in any ritual is consistency, not perfection, not doing it the same way every time, but showing up again and again with the intention to nurture your mind and fuel your growth. Rituals are not a to-do list, they're a way of being. They are signals to your subconscious that you're choosing alignment, that you're taking yourself seriously, that you're not waiting for life to change, you're changing how you meet life. Rituals also help in moments of emotional turbulence. When life feels chaotic, your rituals become your anchors. When fear rises or doubt creeps in, you don't have to start from zero. You have practices to return to. You know how to breathe. You know how to reset your thoughts. You know how to ground yourself in gratitude or stillness or movement. And that familiarity gives you strength. You don't need to control every storm. You just need to know how to come back to center. Don't underestimate the power of these small daily choices. They add up. They build identity. They become the silent force behind your transformation. One day, you'll look back and realize that the dream life you've created didn't come from one big moment. It came from a series of small moments when you chose to show up with intention, when you paused instead of spiraled, when you spoke kindly to yourself, when you moved your body with love, when you wrote down one thought of gratitude or said one affirmation that reminded you of your power. That's how change happens, quietly, repeatedly, with love. So ask yourself, what rituals are you living by? Which ones serve you? Which ones need to be replaced? You don't need to overhaul your life today. You just need to start with one new ritual, one action that supports the life you're building. Start your morning differently. End your night with presence. Take 5 minutes to be intentional with your mind. It's not about having more time. It's about what you do with the time you already have. Your thoughts shape your reality, and your rituals shape your thoughts. They are the brushstrokes that create the masterpiece of your life. Choose them wisely. Practice them consistently. Let them become your foundation, because when your days are built with purpose, your life begins to align with the vision you've held inside you all along, not by chance, but by choice, not by force, but through presence. That's the quiet power of ritual. And it's always within your reach. Chapter 10. Environment Matters. Tending the garden around you. You've probably heard that you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, but it's deeper than that. You are not just shaped by people. You're shaped by spaces, sounds, habits, routines, and energies. Your environment is constantly influencing your mindset, your emotions, and your behavior. If your mind is a garden, your environment is the climate. You might plant the best seeds, empowering thoughts, big dreams, clear intentions, but if you plant them in dry, toxic soil, they'll struggle to grow. That's why it's not enough to work on your inner world. You must also tend to the outer world that surrounds it, because your environment either supports your evolution or it resists it. Most people try to make massive changes in their life while staying stuck in the exact same surroundings that keep pulling them backward. They try to think differently while constantly being reminded of who they used to be. They try to grow while staying in conversations, spaces, and patterns that reflect the version of themselves they're trying to leave behind. And then they wonder why progress feels so hard. But it's not always because something is wrong with them. It's because they're trying to change the fruit without changing the soil. The people you interact with, the media you consume, the clutter you walk past every day, the way your spaces feel, these things are not neutral. They're shaping your energy and reinforcing your beliefs, whether you notice it or not. If you want to live a life of clarity, peace, creativity, and confidence, then your surroundings need to support that. That doesn't mean everything has to be perfect or aesthetic or expensive. It just means your environment needs to reflect your intention. You want spaces that feel like they align with who you're becoming, not who you've been. You want relationships that uplift and challenge you, not ones that constantly drain your energy or make you doubt your worth. You want habits built into your space. Books instead of distractions, water instead of noise, affirmations instead of criticism. Your environment should feel like an invitation to rise, not a reminder to shrink. Start with your physical space. Look around the room you spend the most time in. What does it reflect back to you? Is it chaotic, cluttered, neglected? Or does it feel like a space where growth happens, where calm is possible, where your mind can breathe? You don't have to renovate your life, but maybe you clear one surface. Maybe you put a note on the mirror with a powerful thought. Maybe you add a plant to remind you of growth or open a window to invite fresh air. These small changes matter. They send a message to your subconscious. I care about my space because I care about myself. I am not waiting for my dream life to start. I am creating it now, in small, deliberate ways. Then turn your attention to the people in your life. This doesn't mean cutting off everyone who challenges you. Growth comes with friction. But you must be honest about how your relationships are affecting your mindset. Are you constantly explaining your dreams to people who don't want to understand? Are you shrinking to make others comfortable? Are you spending hours with people who only focus on problems, never solutions? Energy is contagious, and while you can be a light in the dark, you must protect your flame. Surround yourself with people who reflect your values, not your fears. People who remind you of your power, not your limitations. Sometimes, you don't have control over every part of your environment. You might be in a job that drains you, a home that feels loud, a space that doesn't support you. Yet, that's okay. You don't need total control. You just need influence. You can still create pockets of peace. You can still design moments of inspiration. You can still carry your mindset like armor, like a compass, like a candle in the wind. Even 5 minutes of a supportive environment, whether it's music that lifts your spirit, a journal that grounds your thoughts, or a quiet corner to breathe, can recalibrate your entire day. You don't need to escape your environment. You just need to plant light inside of it. The digital space you live in matters too. Your phone, your feed, your media, all of it is part of your environment. Ask yourself what you're scrolling past every day. Is it inspiring you or subtly draining you? Is it expanding your vision or reinforcing your fears? You have more control than you think. Unfollow the noise. Follow people who make you believe in what's possible. Clean up your digital garden. Let it reflect the future you're building, not the patterns you're trying to outgrow. This doesn't mean you live in a bubble, but it means you take responsibility for what you allow into your mental space. Your habits are part of your environment too. A phone by your bed might be encouraging distraction. A notebook on your nightstand might encourage reflection. A snack drawer within reach might be enabling impulsive choices. A calendar filled with obligations might be crowding out space for creativity. You don't have to throw everything out, but begin noticing the small environmental cues that shape your behavior. Adjust them. Design your space to make the right choices easier. When your environment supports your goals, discipline becomes less about willpower and more about flow. Environment also includes the conversations you have with yourself. If your internal dialogue is full of criticism, doubt, and negativity, then your mental environment is working against you. Practice speaking to yourself like someone you love. Let your inner voice become part of the supportive landscape you're building. This is part of your environment too. Not what's around you, but what's within you. And the more aligned these two worlds become, the more powerful your transformation will be. Remember, your dream life isn't something you wait for, it's something you build, day by day, room by room, thought by thought. Surround yourself with reminders of who you are becoming. Create rituals in your space that ground you in that version. Limit access to energies and inputs that distort your clarity. You don't have to control the whole world, you just have to cultivate the parts within your reach. The more you shape your environment with intention, the easier it becomes to stay aligned with the life you want. Your thoughts shape your reality, but your environment shapes your thoughts. You are not separate from the space you live in, you are in a constant dance with it. So make it a space that reflects your worth. Make it a space where growth feels possible. Make it a space that supports your dream, not just your survival. Tending your environment is not a luxury, it's a form of self-respect. And when you begin to honor your surroundings begin to honor you back. That's how you create a climate where your new life can take root and bloom. Chapter 11. The language of possibility. The words you speak are more than sound, they are energy. They carry intention, direction, and influence. The words you choose, especially the ones you say to yourself, shape your perception of what's possible. Your language becomes the frame through which you see your life. Whether you realize it or not, your vocabulary reveals your mindset. It tells the truth about your beliefs, your expectations, and your identity. If you constantly say, "I can't, I'm stuck, that's just the way it is," you're reinforcing limitations. You're building walls with your words. But when you begin to say things like, "I'm figuring it out," "I'm open to new solutions," or "I'm learning," you are opening doors. You are shaping a reality that stretches beyond your current circumstances. The language of possibility is not about sugarcoating, it's about choosing words that build bridges instead of barriers. Words matter. Your subconscious mind listens to everything you say, whether it's said with intention or not. When you say something often enough, your brain starts treating it as truth. That's how beliefs are formed, not because they're factual, but because they've been repeated. Think about the phrases you've been using lately. Are they expanding your vision or shrinking it? Are they helping you grow or keeping you stuck? When you say, "I'm not creative," your brain stops looking for creative solutions. When you say, "I'm always anxious," your identity begins to wrap itself around anxiety. But if you shift to saying, "I'm learning to trust my creativity," or "I'm practicing calm," your brain adapts. It begins looking for evidence of those new patterns. That's the magic of language. It doesn't just describe reality, it helps create it. This is especially powerful when it comes to your identity. The way you talk about yourself becomes who you believe you are. If you repeatedly say, "I'm a procrastinator," "I'm bad with money," or "I'm just not confident," you're solidifying those roles in your mind. But you are not a fixed character in your own story. You are the author. You can rewrite the script. Start saying, "I'm becoming more focused. I'm learning to manage money wisely. I'm building confidence every day." These might seem like small shifts, but they create big changes over time. They change how you show up. They change what you expect. They change how you respond when challenges arise. Even casual language has power. Phrases like, "That's killing me," or "I'm so stupid," or "This always happens to me," might seem harmless, but they carry weight. Every time you repeat something, you deepen a neural pathway. You train your brain to look for consistency with the words you use. That's why it's important to speak with intention, even in small conversations. Start noticing the language you use when you're frustrated, tired, or uncertain. Catch yourself in those moments and choose different words. Instead of saying, "I can't handle this," try, "This is challenging, but I'm getting through it." Instead of, "I'm so behind," try, "I'm moving at my own pace, and that's okay." These aren't empty affirmations, they are new scripts, and the more you speak them, the more real they become. Language also affects how you relate to time and possibility. If you constantly say, "Someday I'll do that," you push your dreams into the distance. Someday becomes an excuse, a mental delay. But when you say, "I'm starting now," or "I'm making progress every day," your timeline shortens. Your dreams feel more urgent, more possible. The energy shifts from waiting to creating. Even the way you frame your goals matters. Saying, "I want to lose weight," focuses on lack. Saying, "I'm creating a strong, healthy body," focuses on growth. One drains you, the other fuels you. It's a subtle difference, but it changes everything. The language of possibility isn't about pretending everything is perfect. It's about speaking as if growth is available, as if change is unfolding, as if you are the kind of person who creates their future with intention. Because you are. The way you talk to yourself in hard moments reveals how much you believe in your ability to move forward. Start speaking to yourself like someone who believes in your potential, even when you're not at your best. Say things like, "This is hard, but I'm capable. I don't have all the answers, but I'm willing to find them. I trust that I'm becoming who I need to be." These phrases become your inner scaffolding. They hold you up when doubt tries to pull you down. This shift in language doesn't happen overnight. You've been speaking a certain way for years, maybe even decades. But just like changing any habit, it starts with awareness. Start paying attention to your words. Catch the phrases that limit you. Replace them with language that leaves room for growth. Practice out loud. Write them down. Use your voice as a tool for alignment. Over time, these new phrases will feel more natural. They will become part of how you think, act, and see yourself. It helps to have a few go-to phrases that you can lean on when things get hard. Think of them as mental mantras, short, powerful statements that bring you back to center. Things like, "I have what it takes," "I trust myself," "I can figure this out," or "I've handled hard things before and I can do it again." Repeat these often, especially when you're scared, overwhelmed, or discouraged. Let your voice become a source of strength, not a source of fear. You may not control every situation, but you can always control the language you use to face it. You are speaking your reality into being every day, whether it's through quiet self-talk, casual conversations, or the words you write and repeat. You are shaping your identity and experience with language. Let that be a conscious process. Use words that point you forward. Use words that mirror the future you're building, not the pain you're leaving behind. Speak in a way that calls your potential closer, because your words are not just commentary, they are commands. They tell your brain what to expect. They guide your energy. They set the tone for your day, your relationships, your opportunities. So speak possibility. Speak progress. Speak with belief, even if it's only a whisper at first, because every time you do, you strengthen the signal between who you are and who you're becoming. Your thoughts shape your reality, and your words give those thoughts structure, meaning, and momentum. Speak like the person who knows the life you want is already forming. Speak like the person who has already started building it. Because you have. Every word is a brick. Every sentence is a step. Keep choosing the language of the life you deserve. It's listening, and it's becoming real. Chapter 12. Gratitude is fertilizer for growth. Gratitude is not just something nice to practice when life is going well. It's not a feel-good bonus that you sprinkle on top of success. It's the foundation. Gratitude is one of the most powerful mindset tools you have access to, and yet it's often misunderstood. People think of it as something passive, as a response to good things. But true gratitude is active. It's a way of seeing. It's a lens you choose not because everything is perfect, but because you've decided to focus on what is present, possible, and already working. Gratitude doesn't ignore pain, struggle, or ambition. It creates the space to hold all of it. And when you build a consistent practice around it, it becomes the fertilizer that helps every other part of your growth take root. The truth is, you don't have to wait for your life to change in order to feel grateful. Gratitude isn't about settling or pretending, it's about noticing. It's the art of being fully present with what is, while still being open to what can be. When you live with gratitude, you begin to see the same world differently. You stop rushing past the small moments. You find beauty in simplicity. You feel supported instead of abandoned. And that shift doesn't just feel better, it changes your brain. Neuroscience shows that regularly practicing gratitude activates regions in the brain associated with dopamine, the feel-good neurotransmitter. It helps regulate your mood, reduce stress, improve sleep, and increase resilience. And the most powerful part, the more you practice, the more natural it becomes. Gratitude rewires your mind to look for the good. But here's what most people miss. Gratitude is not just a reaction, it's a practice. It's something you cultivate, especially when you least feel like it. When everything feels like it's falling apart, gratitude helps you see what's still standing. When you're in a season of waiting or uncertainty, gratitude reminds you that growth is still happening beneath the surface. When you're tempted to compare your life to someone else's, gratitude grounds you in what's uniquely yours. It becomes an anchor, and the more you return to it, the more steady and rooted you feel. Start with something simple. Each day, take a moment, morning or evening, to name 3 things you're grateful for. Write them down if you can. They don't have to be big. In fact, the smaller and more specific, the better. A warm cup of tea, a smile from a stranger, a song that moved you, a moment of stillness. When you get specific, you train your mind to pay closer attention. You start to realize how much is already working in your favor, and when your brain learns to look for what's good, it begins to expect good. That shift in expectation changes the way you show up, the way you speak, the way you take action. Gratitude also softens resistance. When you're pursuing growth or building something new, it's easy to become obsessed with what's missing. You think, I'm not there yet. I don't have enough. Why isn't it happening faster? That mindset creates tension. It makes you feel like you're chasing a moving target. But gratitude brings you back to now. It reminds you that your current self is already worthy. It teaches you that you can be both grateful and ambitious. You can want more without hating where you are. In fact, gratitude often accelerates growth because it shifts your energy from desperation to trust. There's also a deep emotional healing that happens through gratitude. It allows you to reclaim your story. Maybe there are parts of your past that hurt, moments that disappointed you, seasons that broke you open. Gratitude doesn't deny those wounds. It helps you find the wisdom in them. It helps you say, I wouldn't want to relive that, but I'm grateful for what it taught me. That perspective is powerful. It frees you from the weight of resentment and regret. It turns your past into a source of strength instead of shame. Gratitude becomes the bridge between your pain and your purpose. It also transforms your relationships. When you approach people with gratitude, you see them through a more compassionate lens. You begin to notice the good in others more easily. You express appreciation instead of taking things for granted. You create connection not just through words, but through energy. People can feel when they are seen and valued. And when you make gratitude a part of how you relate to the world, your relationships deepen. The energy you send out always finds a way back to you. Gratitude also brings a kind of quiet power. It helps you reclaim moments that would otherwise be lost in the rush. It gives you a pause, a breath, a sacred moment to say, this is enough, I am enough, right here, right now. That kind of presence isn't always easy, but it's always worth it. It keeps you grounded while everything else moves. It reminds you that joy isn't a destination, it's something you access when you choose to notice what's already good. And sometimes gratitude is simply a decision. You won't always feel it first, but you can choose it. You can say, even though I'm tired, I'm thankful for this day. Even though it's uncertain, I trust something good is unfolding. Even though it hurts, I'm grateful I'm still here, still growing, still becoming. That decision might not change your circumstances immediately, but it changes your relationship to them. It gives you a sense of power in the middle of what feels powerless. And that's where momentum is born. Not from forcing, but from seeing clearly and choosing your response. If there's one thing to take from this, it's that gratitude is a practice that changes everything. It doesn't erase pain or replace action, but it becomes the foundation for how you move through life. It's what allows you to keep going without becoming bitter, to dream without becoming desperate, to love without becoming afraid, and to live with your eyes open to the blessings that have always been there, waiting for your attention. Your thoughts shape your reality, and gratitude shapes your thoughts. It helps you stay rooted in what's real, what's beautiful, what's possible. When you practice gratitude, you build a mindset that sees with clarity, acts with integrity, and creates with joy. You stop chasing the future and start appreciating the present. And from that energy, you begin to attract more of what you're already grateful for, not because life owes you something, but because you've opened your heart to receive it. So start today. Look around, breathe in. Say thank you not just out of habit, but out of awareness. Let your gratitude be quiet, sincere, and daily. Let it feed your thoughts, your words, your actions. Let it become the soil in which everything else can grow. Because a grateful mind is a powerful mind. And the more you practice it, the more you realize that the dream life you're chasing is already unfolding, one thankful breath at a time. Chapter 13. When life feels hard, staying grounded through storms. There will be days when the light feels dim, when the ground beneath your feet feels unsteady, when the momentum you've worked so hard to build feels like it's slipping through your hands. No matter how positive your mindset is, no matter how strong your intentions are, life will challenge you. That's not failure, it's life doing what it does. Sometimes it tests you, not to break you, but to build you. It throws storms your way, not because you're weak, but because it knows there's more strength in you than you've discovered. And the truth is, staying grounded during these storms isn't about avoiding pain or pretending everything is fine. It's about finding your anchor within the chaos. It's about holding on to your peace, even when everything around you is shaking. Because you're not just here to thrive on sunny days, you're here to become the kind of person who can still stand tall in the rain. It's easy to be hopeful when everything's going right, when you're seeing progress, when doors are opening, when the world seems to agree with your direction. That's when belief feels effortless. But real growth happens when you choose hope in the absence of visible evidence, when you keep moving even though the results aren't immediate, when you speak life into your future even while your present feels heavy. That kind of strength doesn't come from pretending. It comes from learning how to sit with discomfort without letting it define you. It comes from reminding yourself, even on your hardest days, that everything is temporary and you've made it through hard things before. Your thoughts still shape your reality, especially when reality feels heavy. That doesn't mean you have to force positive thinking. It means you stay conscious of what you're feeding your mind in moments of stress. It means when fear starts shouting, you whisper something truer. When doubt rises, you meet it with a steady voice that says, I can handle this. I am grounded. This moment will pass. The storms don't last forever, but the way you think during them often lingers. So protect your inner world during chaos. Don't let a bad day plant seeds that become a bad belief. Remind yourself, this is one chapter, not the whole story. Hard seasons often come with questions. Why is this happening? What am I supposed to learn? How do I fix it? But not all pain comes with immediate answers. Sometimes the lesson doesn't arrive until after the storm has passed. And that's okay. You don't need to have all the answers while you're still in the middle of it. You just need to stay present, stay open, stay anchored to your values. When everything else feels uncertain, come back to what you know. You are resilient, you are growing, you are not alone. You have faced moments like this before, different details, same feeling, and you made it through. That memory is proof. Let it remind you of your strength when your current emotions try to make you forget. There is a quiet power in learning to pause instead of panic. When something goes wrong, the mind often wants to spiral. imagining worst-case scenarios, replaying what could have been done differently, obsessing over the unknown. But spiraling doesn't solve, it only depletes. The next time you feel overwhelmed, practice the pause. Breathe. Feel your feet on the ground. Place your hand on your chest and remind yourself, right now, I am safe. Right now, I am breathing. Right now, I am here. These small, grounding moments don't make the storm disappear, but they help you stay steady while it passes. They remind your nervous system that you are not powerless, you are present. One of the most misunderstood ideas about personal growth is that you must always feel good to be making progress. But that's not how growth works. Some of the most important breakthroughs happen when things feel unclear, when your confidence is shaken, when you're forced to look inward. These are the moments that teach you patience, faith, resilience, and self-trust. These are the seasons where you're asked to believe in your future without visible proof, to act as though something beautiful is still on the way even if you can't see it yet. That's not delusion, that's vision. And vision is what keeps you going when everything else tells you to stop. Lean into your rituals during these times. When life feels unpredictable, consistency becomes your anchor. Return to the habits that ground you, whether it's journaling, prayer, walking, breathing, or simply sitting in stillness. Don't underestimate the power of doing small things with great intention. When the world feels loud, find the silence that reconnects you to your truth. Let that be your safe place. Let that be the space where you remember who you are, beneath the noise. And while you're navigating the hard parts, don't isolate. You're allowed to lean on others. You don't have to carry everything alone. Share your truth with someone who can hold space without fixing you. Speak your feelings without needing to justify them. Let someone remind you of your strength when you've temporarily lost sight of it. Connection doesn't remove the storm, but it reminds you that you're not facing it in silence. There's also value in learning to redefine what a bad day means. Sometimes a bad day is just a heavy one, a slow one, a day where your energy is low and your clarity is missing. That doesn't mean you've failed. It doesn't mean you've lost progress. It just means you're human. You're allowed to feel without making those feelings your identity. You're allowed to rest without calling it weakness. You're allowed to have days where showing up looks like getting out of bed, brushing your teeth, and doing the bare minimum with kindness. Progress isn't measured by how perfect you are. It's measured by how willing you are to keep going even when it's hard. Your dream life isn't built in a vacuum. It's shaped through contrast, the highs and the lows, the breakthroughs and the breakdowns. Each season has something to offer you. So if you're in a hard one right now, don't rush to escape it. Ask it what it's here to teach. Maybe it's inviting you to slow down, to reevaluate, to reconnect. Maybe it's reminding you that your worth is not tied to your productivity. Maybe it's showing you that even in your most uncertain moments, you still have agency. You still get to choose your next thought, your next breath, your next step. Your thoughts still shape your reality, even when your reality feels hard. And this is when they matter the most. Not when everything's easy, but when everything is raw and real. Keep speaking gently to yourself. Keep holding space for hope. Keep believing that the clouds will break. They always do. You are allowed to feel deeply and still move forward. You are allowed to be both tender and strong. You are allowed to cry and rest and rise, all in the same day. So when life feels hard, stay grounded. Return to your breath. Return to your rituals. Return to your truth. Don't let temporary emotions make permanent decisions. Don't let the storm convince you that the sun is gone for good. Keep your inner light on. Keep walking your path, one steady step at a time, because your dream life isn't just waiting for you on the other side of the storm. It's being shaped by how you move through it, with grace, with courage, with faith in what's still to come. Chapter 14. Progress, not perfection. There is a quiet kind of pressure that can sabotage your growth before you've even had the chance to build momentum. It's the voice that says you should be further along. It's the inner critic that picks apart every step you take and calls it not enough. It's the illusion that everyone else has it figured out while you're still trying to make sense of your path. This pressure doesn't scream, but it weighs you down. It convinces you that unless your progress looks flawless, it doesn't count. That unless you're hitting every goal exactly on schedule, you're failing. But this chapter is here to remind you of a truth that might feel radical in a world addicted to performance. You don't need to be perfect to be powerful. You don't need to be finished to be worthy. You just need to keep showing up. Because it's not about perfection. It's about progress. Progress is messy, it's non-linear, it includes steps forward, sideways, backward, and moments where you sit still wondering what's next. It includes good days and hard days, wins and lessons, clarity and confusion. And that's how it's supposed to be. The journey toward your dream life isn't a straight line, it's a spiral. You loop back to old lessons with new awareness. You revisit fears with more resilience. You heal in layers. You rise in stages. Expecting a perfect path is a setup for disappointment. But when you shift your focus to progress, you start seeing growth everywhere. In your thoughts, in your reactions, in the way you speak to yourself. You realize that even on the days when nothing big happens, something important is still unfolding. The obsession with perfection often comes from fear. Fear of judgment, of failure, of not being enough. If everything is perfect, maybe you won't be criticized. If everything is flawless, maybe you'll finally be accepted. But perfection is not protection. It's a prison. It keeps you from starting. It keeps you from trying. It keeps you stuck in planning instead of living. Progress, on the other hand, is freedom. It allows you to take imperfect steps. It allows you to learn through doing. It allows you to evolve in real time, not in theory. And when you allow yourself to be in progress, you give yourself permission to be human. That's where the magic is, not in getting it all right, but in getting real with yourself. There's a reason people get stuck in self-help loops. They read all the books, listen to all the podcasts, attend all the seminars, and still feel paralyzed because they're waiting to become perfect before they act. They want to have every answer before they take the first step, but clarity comes from movement. Confidence is built through repetition. You don't become ready and then act. You act, and through action, you become ready. That's progress. That's how growth works. You get better by being in motion, not by waiting for the moment you no longer feel afraid. That moment may never come. But courage doesn't wait for fear to vanish, it moves with it. Think about a plant growing through the soil. It doesn't break through the surface perfectly aligned and symmetrical, it pushes through resistance. It bends toward the light. It finds its way despite obstacles. You are that plant. And just like you wouldn't judge a growing sprout for not being a tree yet, you don't need to judge yourself for being in process. You are allowed to be both a masterpiece and a work in progress at the same time. You can be proud of how far you've come even while you're still reaching for more. That's the beauty of growth. It lets you celebrate without settling and dream without disowning where you are now. Track your progress in ways that matter, not just through outcomes, but through who you're becoming. Maybe you didn't hit the number or finish the task, but did you speak to yourself more kindly today? Did you catch a limiting belief and challenge it? Did you pause before reacting? Did you show up when you didn't feel like it? That counts. That's growth. That's how you measure success in a way that actually sustains you. Because chasing perfection often leads to burnout and shame, while honoring progress builds self-trust and momentum. Let go of the idea that consistency means doing everything perfectly every day. Real consistency is flexible. It adjusts to life. It honors your energy. It allows for rest, redirection, and recalibration. Some days your progress might look like completing the task. Other days it might look like setting boundaries, taking a nap, or saying no. The goal is not to be perfect. It's to stay in relationship with your growth, to stay aware, to stay intentional. That's what keeps you moving forward without the weight of unrealistic expectations. When you embrace progress over perfection, you become more present. You stop chasing some ideal future version of yourself and start honoring who you are right now. You realize that the version of you who's learning, trying, stumbling, and still showing up is not a placeholder. This version is valuable. This version deserves compassion, encouragement, and credit. Don't withhold your own approval waiting for some future milestone. Celebrate the version of you that's doing the work today. That's the one who matters most. Perfection tells you you're never enough. Progress tells you every step counts. Perfection shames your mistakes. Progress learns from them. Perfection makes you afraid to start. Progress reminds you that starting is where everything begins. You get to choose which voice you follow, and every time you choose progress, you reclaim your power. You shift your focus from what's missing to what's unfolding, from what's wrong to what's working, from fear to faith. The truth is, no one's life is perfect. No one is doing it all flawlessly. What separates those who grow from those who stay stuck isn't talent or luck or timing. It's the willingness to keep going, to take the next step, to show up for the process again and again without needing it to look perfect. You are allowed to evolve out loud. You are allowed to change your mind, make mistakes, and adjust your course. You are allowed to grow visibly, messily, and honestly. That's not weakness, it's courage. Your thoughts shape your reality, and when those thoughts give you room to grow instead of demanding perfection, your whole life expands. You move from pressure to possibility. You find joy in the journey instead of waiting to feel worthy at the destination. So, release the weight of perfection, let it go, replace it with progress. Let every small step be enough for today. Let every stumble be part of the rhythm. Let every effort count. Because it does. And so do you. Keep going. You're doing better than you think. Chapter 15. Acting as if. Becoming who you want to be. There's a gap between who you are now and who you want to become. That version of you who wakes up with clarity, walks with confidence, speaks with purpose, and lives with peace. It might feel like a future you, a distant dream, a version that only exists after the stars align. But what if the fastest way to become that person isn't waiting for the right moment, but choosing to act as if you already are? Not pretending, not faking, but aligning your actions, your energy, and your mindset with the version of you that you're stepping into. This is the power of acting as if. It's not about being dishonest or ignoring where you are. It's about claiming your future self now, through your choices, your language, your posture, and your presence. Most people live according to their past. They let old mistakes, outdated labels, and past experiences define who they believe they are. They repeat patterns because they think, this is just who I am. But your identity isn't fixed. It's fluid. You're shaping it every single day with your thoughts, your habits, your decisions. And one of the most effective ways to speed up change is to start behaving like the person you want to become. Not someday, today. That doesn't mean overhauling everything. It means asking yourself in each moment, what would the future version of me do right now? Then doing your best to align with that answer. If you want to become more confident, you don't wait until the fear disappears. You speak up, even with your voice shaking. You walk into the room even when your heart races. You hold your head higher, breathe deeper, and remind yourself that confidence is built through action. If you want to become more disciplined, you don't wait for motivation to strike. You show up on the days you don't feel like it. You follow through on small promises. You become someone who finishes what they start. If you want to become more peaceful, you don't wait for the world to calm down. You create peace in your thoughts, in your breath, in your responses. You act as if peace is already available to you, because it is. Acting as if isn't about perfection. It's about intentional alignment. It's about stepping into the energy of your future self and letting that energy guide your choices. You might still feel afraid. You might still hear doubt. That's okay. You're not trying to erase those feelings. You're just choosing not to let them lead. You're building a new default by rehearsing your next level in the present. And the more you do this, the more natural it becomes. The more you normalize the new version of you, the more it becomes who you are. Your brain responds powerfully to identity. When you start seeing yourself differently, you start showing up differently. And it works both ways. If you keep acting like the old you, making decisions from fear, shrinking your voice, avoiding challenge, your brain will believe that's who you are. But if you start behaving like someone who trusts themselves, who makes bold moves, who follows through, you send your brain a new message. It starts wiring new patterns. It starts expecting different results. And when your mind shifts, your reality shifts too. Visualizing your future self helps with this. Take time to imagine them in detail. Where do they live? How do they carry themselves? What habits do they have? How do they speak? What do they tolerate? And what do they no longer accept? Then begin borrowing from that vision. Bring pieces of it into your present life. If your future self values health, maybe you start making one nourishing choice each day. If they have strong boundaries, maybe you begin saying no to what drains you. If they're financially empowered, maybe you start managing your money with more intention. These small decisions are not symbolic. They are structural. They build the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. It's important to start where you are. You don't need to have everything figured out. You just need to start showing up differently in the areas you can control. Maybe you don't feel like a leader yet, but you can start speaking like one. Maybe you don't feel like a creator yet, but you can start creating. Maybe you don't feel confident, but you can dress in a way that makes you feel strong. These aren't surface changes, they're signals to your sub. They say, this is who I am now, and your mind will begin to align with that identity the more you reinforce it. One of the easiest ways to begin acting as if is through language. Catch the way you talk about yourself. Instead of saying, I'm trying to be more organized, say, I'm someone who's becoming more intentional with my time. Instead of saying, I'm not good with people, say, I'm learning how to connect with confidence. These subtle shifts matter. They shape your identity. They shape how others perceive you. But most importantly, they shape how you perceive you. And that perception is the foundation of every decision you make. Acting as if also involves your environment. Surround yourself with reminders of who you're becoming. Read the kind of books that version of you would read. Follow people who inspire that energy. Declutter what feels heavy. Create physical spaces that feel supportive. Your surroundings speak to your identity, too. When you step into an environment that matches your next level, you start rising to meet it. And it doesn't need to be grand. Even lighting a candle at your desk, writing a mantra on your mirror, or keeping your space clean can shift your energy. It's not about the size of the change, it's about the energy behind it. This isn't about faking it, it's about leading with the version of you that already exists inside. Even if she or he or they have been buried under years of fear or programming, acting as if is about giving that version of you the microphone, letting them make more of the decisions, trusting that they're ready to lead. The old you will want to pull you back. You'll hear the familiar voices of doubt. That's normal. But each time you act as if you're already becoming, you're turning down the volume on the old and turning up the truth. You don't become the next version of yourself in one leap. You become them choice by choice, moment by moment, through quiet acts of alignment. So ask yourself often, how would my future self handle this? What would they choose here? How would they think, speak, respond, lead? Then begin answering with your life, not someday, now. That's how transformation works. You don't wait for it, you embody it. You walk like it, you speak like it, you live like it. And before long, the gap between who you were and who you're becoming starts to close. Your thoughts shape your reality, and your actions confirm those thoughts. So act like it's possible. Act like you're already rising. Act like you're already enough. Because you are. You're not pretending. You're preparing. You're stepping into alignment with who you were always meant to be. Keep going. The version of you you're acting as, it's not just a future possibility, it's already within you, waiting for more moments to rise. Give it the space. Give it the voice. Let it lead. And watch how quickly your life begins to reflect the shift. Chapter 16. Reclaiming Your Identity. There comes a moment in every personal growth journey when you realize that the version of you you've been living as is not the full truth of who you are. Maybe it's a version shaped by expectations. Maybe it's one built on survival, not authenticity. Maybe it's the you who kept the peace, stayed small, played safe, or wore masks to be accepted. And for a while, that version served you. It protected you. It helped you get through seasons where being fully seen felt too risky. But growth demands honesty. It calls you to take off what no longer fits and step into what has always been true, even if it was buried under layers of conditioning. Reclaiming your identity is not about becoming someone new. It's about returning to who you were before the world told you who to be. Identity is powerful. It shapes what you believe you're capable of. It defines your limits, your roles, your value, and yet so much of it is absorbed rather than chosen. From a young age, you're given labels. You're told what you're good at, what you're not, what's acceptable, what's not. You internalize other people's opinions as facts. You adopt roles in your family, in society, in relationships. Caretaker, overachiever, people pleaser, rebel. Sometimes these roles become cages. You forget that you're allowed to change. You forget that identity is not a sentence, it's a story. And stories can be rewritten. Reclaiming your identity starts with awareness. You begin by asking hard questions. Who am I when I'm not trying to prove anything? Who am I when I'm not performing for approval? Who am I when I stop trying to be who they want me to be? These questions are not always easy to answer at first. That's okay. Identity isn't discovered all at once. It's uncovered layer by layer, moment by moment. As you start choosing yourself with more honesty, you listen more closely to your desires. You notice what lights you up and what drains you. You become more curious about your own voice than the noise around you. Part of reclaiming your identity is learning to let go of the roles that no longer serve you. Maybe you were always the reliable one, the strong one, the one who never asked for help. But now, you're allowed to rest. You're allowed to be held. You're allowed to say, I'm not okay today. Maybe you were always the quiet one, the one who kept your opinions to yourself. But now, your voice matters. Your truth is valid. You don't need to earn the right to speak. Maybe you were the one who hustled for worth, thinking your value lived in your productivity. But now you know your worth is inherent. It's not based on output. It's based on being. These shifts don't happen overnight. But every time you let go of an identity that was rooted in fear, you make space for one that's rooted in truth. You also begin to tell a new story, one that reflects your growth, your wisdom, your becoming. Instead of saying, I've always been this way, you say, I'm learning to become more of who I truly am. Instead of saying, this is just who I am, you ask, is this who I choose to be? That small shift in language opens the door to transformation. It reminds you that you are not fixed. You are fluid. You're allowed to evolve. You're allowed to change your mind. You're allowed to choose differently, even if people don't understand. Especially if they don't understand. Reclaiming your identity also means forgiving yourself for who you were when you didn't know better. You don't have to carry shame for the roles you played out of fear or confusion. You were doing the best you could with what you knew. And now you know more. You have more awareness, more tools, more truth. That's not something to judge, it's something to celebrate. Every version of you brought you here, even the messy ones, even the misguided ones. They were all stepping stones, not stains. Forgive them, thank them, then choose again. This process might feel lonely at times. When you stop fitting into old molds, some people won't know what to do with the new you. They'll want the version they were comfortable with, the one who didn't speak up, didn't dream too big, didn't disturb the status quo. And when you start changing, it can trigger others who are afraid to grow. That's not your fault. That's not your burden to carry. Reclaiming your identity means choosing authenticity over approval. It means being more committed to your truth and to other people's comfort. It means trusting that the right people, the ones who see the real you and love you for it, will find you when you're no longer hiding. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your evolution. You don't need permission to reclaim yourself. Your life is yours. Your choices are yours. Your path is yours. The more you honor that, the more peace you'll find. Because there's nothing more exhausting than living out of alignment, and there's nothing more liberating than finally coming home to yourself. This is not about becoming flawless, it's about becoming honest. It's about living from the inside out. It's about saying yes to the parts of you that have been silenced, the creative one, the passionate one, the bold one, the soft one, the spiritual one, the joyful one. Whatever parts of you you've been told were too much, too weird, too wild, those are often the parts closest to your truth. Don't abandon them. Invite them back in. Let them be seen. Let them lead. You are not your past. You are not your pain. You are not the projections others placed on you. You are something deeper, wiser, freer. You are the author of your identity. You get to choose your story, your labels, your definitions, and every day you get to rewrite what doesn't feel true anymore. You are not stuck. You are not small. You are not late. You are right on time to remember who you really are. Your thoughts shape your reality, and your identity is a reflection of those thoughts. So think thoughts that affirm your worth. Think thoughts that align with your highest self. Speak your truth, even if your voice shakes. Walk your path, even if it's unfamiliar. You don't need a map when you are your own compass. Reclaim yourself, piece by piece, choice by choice. Let every moment be a return to the truth of who you've always been. You are not lost. You are unfolding. Keep going. You're not becoming someone else. You're finally becoming you. Chapter 17. Abundance Thinking in a Scarcity World. The world is loud with messages of lack. Everywhere you turn, you're told there isn't enough. Time, money, love, success, opportunity, safety. You're told to hurry, to compete, to hoard, to cling. You're told to believe that someone else's gain is your loss, that for you to rise, someone else has to fall, that if you don't get yours now, you may never get it at all. These messages seep into your mindset quietly. They convince you to play small, to mistrust others, to doubt your own timing. This is the scarcity mindset, and it's not just personal, it's systemic. It's embedded in culture, economics, relationships, and habits. But just because it's common doesn't mean it's truth. You can think differently, you can live differently, you can choose abundance in a world that profits from your fear. Abundance is not about how much you have, it's about how you think. It's about believing that there is enough love, enough opportunity, enough creativity, enough room for you to grow. It's about trusting that what's meant for you won't miss you, and that your success does not threaten someone else's. Abundance thinking expands your world. It shifts your focus from what's missing to what's available. It invites collaboration over competition. It makes you generous with your energy, your ideas, your presence, because you trust that giving doesn't empty you, it expands you. When you're in a scarcity mindset, you grip tightly. You cling to certainty, to control, to the belief that you're always one mistake away from losing everything. You compare, you compete, you count yourself out before you begin. Scarcity makes you think small, settle early, and second-guess your worth. But abundance invites you to breathe deeper. It reminds you that the same source of life, of creativity, of joy that flows through others, flows through you. It tells you that you're not running out of time. You're simply unfolding on your own schedule. It reminds you that life isn't a race, it's a rhythm. And when you align with that rhythm, you move with grace. So how do you shift from scarcity to abundance? It begins with awareness. Start paying attention to the way you think and speak. Scarcity shows up in phrases like, "I'll never have enough," "People like me don't get ahead," "There's no point in trying, if they succeed I lose." These thoughts feel familiar, but they're just mental programming. You've practiced them. You can unlearn them. You can replace them with thoughts like, "There's room for me too," "I am on my own path," "I can create opportunities," "I trust in the timing of my life." Say them, even if you don't fully believe them yet. Belief grows with repetition. Abundance thinking also shows up in how you treat others. In a scarcity mindset, you may feel jealous or threatened when someone else shines. You might think their success somehow makes you smaller. But in an abundant mindset, someone else's light doesn't dim yours. It shows you what's possible. It becomes evidence that the dream is real. When you celebrate others genuinely, you send a message to your mind and the universe that you're ready for your own breakthrough too. Support is not weakness. Generosity is not naivety. They are signs that you know there is more than enough for everyone. Money is one of the most charged areas when it comes to scarcity. You may have been taught that money is hard to earn, easy to lose, or only for a select few. But money is energy. It flows in response to value, trust, and circulation. When you fear it, you repel it. When you hoard it, you block it. But when you respect it, manage it wisely, and use it in alignment with your values, it begins to flow more freely. Start by releasing the belief that money equals worth. Your value is not measured by your bank account. And wealth is not just financial, it's emotional, spiritual, relational. Look for abundance in every form: time, love, creativity, peace, health, connection. These are currencies too, and they often multiply when you focus on them. Another key to abundance thinking is gratitude. When you're grateful for what you have, you create space to receive more. Gratitude tells your brain, "This is enough. I am enough. Life is generous," and your brain begins to look for more evidence of that. Gratitude trains your mind to notice what's present rather than what's lacking. It shifts your energy from desperation to trust, from craving to contentment, and from fear to joy. Even in tough seasons, there's always something to be thankful for: a lesson, a breath, a sunrise, a kind word, a chance to begin again. These moments are proof that abundance isn't out there somewhere. It's already here, waiting to be noticed. Living abundantly also means trusting in timing. Scarcity says it has to happen now or it won't happen at all. Abundance says, "What's meant for me will come at the right time." This doesn't mean you sit back and wait. It means you keep showing up, doing the work, holding the vision, without letting anxiety drive your every move. It means you stop measuring your success against someone else's timeline. You honor your own rhythm. You celebrate your own milestones. You trust that the detours are part of the path, that delay does not mean denial, and that the life you're building is unfolding exactly as it needs to. You can begin embodying abundance in small ways. Smile at strangers, give without expecting. Speak kindly, leave a generous tip, share your knowledge, offer encouragement, take up space without apology, receive compliments without deflection. These actions are not about pretending you have it all. They're about trusting that you have enough to give, and the more you act from that energy, the more abundance flows back to you in forms you never expected. It's also okay to reset your mindset daily. Some days will be harder, some days scarcity will sneak back in. That's normal. Just notice it, name it, then choose again. Say, That's the old story and I'm not telling it anymore. Replace it with truth. Repeat it until it becomes your new normal. This is how you train your mind, not with force, but with steady, loving discipline. Your thoughts shape your reality, and when those thoughts are rooted in abundance, everything shifts. You feel more empowered, more generous, more open. You stop fighting for scraps and start building tables. You stop shrinking and start shining. You stop clinging and start trusting. The world might still be loud with lack, but you don't have to absorb it. You can rise above it. You can become a quiet rebellion against scarcity by living in abundance, by thinking abundantly, by choosing to believe that life is not a closed system, but an open field, ready for your presence, your gifts, your becoming. So breathe deep, look around. There is more than enough. Enough time, enough love, enough space for your dreams, enough opportunity to rise. Live like it's true, think like it's true, speak like it's true, because the moment you do, it starts becoming true, not just in your mind, but in your reality. That's the power of an abundant heart in a world that forgot how much it already has. You are not behind. You are not without. You are abundant by nature. Let that truth lead you forward. Let it set you free. Chapter 18. Helping others rise as you climb. There's something deeply powerful about rising, not alone, but together. True growth isn't just about elevating yourself. It's about lifting others as you go. You weren't meant to climb your mountain and look down on everyone else. You were meant to reach a summit and turn around with your hand extended, saying, "There's room up here. Let me show you the way." Because the most meaningful success is not success in isolation. It's success that multiplies. And when you help others rise, your own growth deepens. Your impact expands. Your journey becomes not just about personal evolution, but about transformation that ripples outward. The world often pushes the idea that there's only so much to go around, that if you win, someone else has to lose, that success is a zero-sum game, that generosity makes you vulnerable. But none of that is true. Those are scarcity-based beliefs, rooted in fear. The truth is, the more you give, the more you grow. The more you support others, the more support finds you. The more you celebrate someone else's breakthrough, the more breakthroughs you invite into your own life. Lifting others doesn't dilute your success, it strengthens it. It creates connection, legacy, and alignment. It reminds you that you are part of something bigger than yourself. You don't need a platform or a title to make a difference. You don't have to be at the top of your game to start helping others. Wherever you are on your path, you've already learned something valuable. Maybe you've walked through healing. Maybe you've overcome self-doubt. Maybe you've learned how to hold your boundaries, reclaim your voice, or find stillness in chaos. Whatever you've gained, no matter how small it seems, there's someone a few steps behind you who needs to hear it. Someone who feels stuck in a place you've already moved through. Your story, your lessons, your presence, these are gifts. Don't underestimate them. Share what you've lived. Helping others doesn't have to be dramatic or public. Sometimes it's a quiet conversation, a word of encouragement, a moment of genuine listening. Sometimes it's saying, "I've been there too," or "I don't have all the answers, but I believe in you." Sometimes it's showing up consistently for someone when they're ready to give up on themselves. These moments seem small, but they stick. People remember how you made them feel. They remember the safety of being seen. And in a world that often tells us we have to prove our worth, being the person who reminds others of their value is a rare and sacred thing. But lifting others doesn't mean losing yourself. It doesn't mean sacrificing your boundaries or draining your energy. You can help without fixing. You can guide without carrying. You can love without enabling. The best support you can offer others is your own alignment. When you live in your truth, you model what's possible. When you prioritize your peace, you give others permission to do the same. When you grow visibly and authentically, you create a map, not a perfect one, but one filled with real markers. This is where I stumbled. This is where I found clarity. This is where I learned to trust myself again. Sometimes the people you lift won't thank you. Sometimes they won't even recognize what you gave. That's okay. You're not doing it for applause. You're doing it because it's who you are. Because generosity is part of your integrity. Because you know that energy moves in circles. What you give returns, not always in the way you expect, but always in the way you need. Helping others doesn't have to be strategic, it just has to be sincere. You'll also find that the more you pour into others, the more you learn about yourself. Teaching clarifies your own understanding. Encouraging someone else strengthens your own belief. Witnessing someone else's courage reignites yours. The act of lifting others is a mirror. It reflects your values, your wisdom, your capacity. It reminds you of how far you've come, even on days when you feel like you're still figuring it out. And yes, there will be moments when helping others feels hard, when you feel stretched thin, when you wonder if your energy is being wasted. That's when you come back to your own center. You don't pour from an empty cup. You don't force what isn't flowing. Lifting others doesn't mean being responsible for their choices. It means holding space for their growth while continuing to walk your own path. It's okay to rest. It's okay to say no. It's okay to grow quietly for a while. Helping others rise includes you too. As you climb, let your integrity be your guide. Share your journey honestly. You don't need to appear perfect to be a source of inspiration. In fact, your vulnerability often carries more impact than your highlight reel. When people see that you struggled and kept going, that you doubted and still showed up, that you faced the dark and moved toward light, that's what reaches them. That's what makes your path relatable, not just admirable. The dream life you're creating is not just about personal success. It's about legacy. It's about creating ripples that extend far beyond your timeline. It's about building something that others can stand on. You may never fully know the impact you've made. Someone might hear your words at exactly the right moment. Someone might find courage because you dared to tell the truth. Someone might decide to keep going because you showed them what was possible. That's how transformation spreads, quietly, powerfully, one act of alignment at a time. Your thoughts shape your reality, and when those thoughts include a belief in the collective rising of others, not just yourself, you expand your impact. You become a light in motion. You become part of a movement that says we rise by lifting each other, not by competing. You become someone who climbs and then reaches back. Someone who grows and then gives. Someone who chooses purpose over ego, contribution over comparison, and connection over isolation. So keep climbing, keep becoming, keep building the dream life that feels like truth. But don't forget to look around. Don't forget to share your light. Don't forget that your story, your voice, your presence, it matters. You don't have to have all the answers. You just have to be willing to walk with others while you find your way. That's more than enough. That's what real leadership looks like. And that's how the world begins to heal, one rising soul at a time, one lifted heart at a time, one generous choice at a time. Keep going. Someone is watching you rise, and they're realizing they can rise too. Chapter 19. Living the Dream Life Now. There's a tendency to place your dream life somewhere out there in the future, to see it as a distant destination, a someday that lives on the other side of more success, more money, more clarity, more confidence. You think, once you arrive at that magical place, then you'll finally feel the way you want to feel, at peace, fulfilled, free. But the truth is, if you keep chasing your dream life like it's a far-off finish line, you'll never arrive. Because the dream life isn't a place you reach. It's a way you live. It's a choice you make in how you think, how you speak, how you show up right now. It's not out there. It's already here, waiting to be claimed moment by moment. This doesn't mean you settle. It means you stop delaying your joy. You stop putting your happiness on hold until the conditions are perfect. You stop saying, "I'll feel better when," and start asking, "How can I feel better now?" Because the future is built in the present. And if you want a life of abundance, peace, and purpose later, you need to start practicing those feelings now. Not when the money shows up, not when the title is earned, not when the fear disappears. You start today with what you have exactly where you are. Living your dream life now begins with presence. It's easy to miss the beauty of your life when you're constantly focused on what's next. When your mind is racing ahead, you lose sight of the moments that are already aligned with the life you desire. The dream life isn't just big milestones, it's also small things. The way the morning light hits your face, the quiet satisfaction of following through on a promise to yourself, the joy in making something, saying something, feeling something real, the peace that comes from a clear decision, the power of knowing you're in integrity. These moments don't announce themselves, but they are everything. They are the texture of the life you're building. It's also about choosing alignment over appearance. The dream life is not always the loudest one, the most luxurious one, or the most Instagrammable one. It's the one that feels good in your nervous system, the one that reflects your values, the one where your insides match your outsides. You may not have everything you want yet, but you can live in integrity now. You can speak honestly now. You can create with purpose now. You can rest without guilt now. These are not crumbs. They are the feast. They are the core of the life you once thought you had to wait for. So much of your dream life is rooted in how you treat yourself. You don't have to wait until you've earned it to be kind to yourself. You don't have to wait until you've hit a goal to rest, celebrate, or take care of your well-being. You don't have to wait to feel proud or safe or inspired. You can start cultivating those states now by the way you speak to yourself, the way you honor your boundaries, the way you choose your thoughts. If your dream life includes confidence, start by building self-trust today. If it includes peace, stop outsourcing your calm. Practice choosing it now, even in chaos. If it includes freedom, begin by noticing where you're already free, even if it's just in your breath, your choices, your perspective. Start there. Build from there. Living the dream life now also means letting go of the belief that struggle is a requirement for worth. You don't have to hustle your way into happiness. You don't have to suffer to deserve peace. Yes, growth requires effort, but effort can come from a place of joy, not punishment. You are allowed to enjoy the process. You are allowed to feel good now, not just when you've proven something. The idea that you must earn rest, love, or ease is a lie. You are worthy of good things now, not someday, not when you're better, smarter, richer, thinner, or more accomplished. Now, as you are. Start noticing the ways you're already living parts of your dream. Maybe it's in how you hold a conversation with more confidence. Maybe it's in the discipline you've built around your time. Maybe it's in the quiet evening where you finally feel at home in your own presence. These are not small things. They're signs, proof, evidence that you are no longer who you used to be, that your dream life isn't a fantasy. It's unfolding. It's real. It's just waiting for you to see it, own it, and live it. This doesn't mean everything will be easy or that you won't face setbacks. But when you start living your dream life now, even in small ways, you shift your identity. You become someone who acts from abundance, not lack. Someone who trusts the process, not just the result. Someone who builds joy into the journey, not just the destination. That mindset becomes a magnet for more alignment, more peace, more of the life you desire. Because energy meets energy. When you live in alignment, you attract aligned experience. It's also important to define the dream life for yourself, not based on what culture sells or what others chase. Maybe your dream life is simple and slow. Maybe it's bold and adventurous. Maybe it's full of deep relationships, creative freedom, laughter, and purpose. Whatever it is, make it yours. Remove the noise, clarify your values, ask yourself what matters to you. Not in theory, but in practice. What would a day in your dream life feel like? Not just look like, feel like. Then ask yourself, how can I feel more of that now? Start there. One aligned step at a time. Your thoughts shape your reality, and when you choose thoughts that reflect your dream life, you begin to live into it. Not by waiting, not by wishing, but by embodying. You walk as that version of you, you speak as them, you decide as them. Not because you're pretending, but because you've stopped postponing who you really are. You're done delaying your joy, you're done playing small, you're done outsourcing your worth. You're ready to live, not someday, but today. So take a breath and look around. What can you claim now? What can you celebrate now? What can you create now? The dream isn't waiting at some distant finish line. It's here, in the way you show up for yourself, in the energy you bring to ordinary moments, in the way you think, speak, and move through your life with more presence, more purpose, more trust. The life you want is not a fantasy. It's a reflection of your choices, repeated with love. You don't need to earn it, you need to live it. One honest thought, one aligned action, one grounded breath at a time. This is your dream life. Not later, now. Keep living it, keep building it, keep becoming it. You're already in it. Let it expand, let it rise, let it be real.